In 2024, a stunning court filing emerged that cast a long shadow over New York Attorney General Letitia James, a figure nationally known for her aggressive pursuit of Donald Trump and corporate wrongdoing. According to these documents, James allegedly designated property in Norfolk, Virginia, as her primary residence, all while actively serving as the chief law enforcement officer of New York State. The details are eyebrow-raising. The filing says James granted herself power of attorney to sign off on this claim as part of a mortgage agreement. But here's the kicker. The paperwork reportedly listed her and her father as husband and wife. That's not a typo, and naturally, it has left observers baffled. Let's be clear, these allegations remain unproven, but the implications, if true, are massive. They don't just raise embarrassing personal questions. They touch on legal and ethical disqualifications that could upend James' career. We're talking about the same Letitia James who became a national figure by branding herself as a fearless watchdog, someone unafraid to confront the powerful. She made headlines by leading the civil case against Donald Trump, which resulted in nearly $500 million in penalties. If it turns out she was bending or breaking the rules herself on something as basic as a mortgage application, it's not just ironic, it's deeply hypocritical. And that's why the scandal matters. Because when the people holding the most power in the justice system appear to violate the very rules they enforce, public trust crumbles. It sends a message that even those who claim the moral high ground might be playing dirty behind closed doors. And worse, that they're protected by a different set of rules. At the core, this isn't just about one woman's real estate decisions. It's about whether powerful figures in government can be held accountable, just like the citizens they prosecute. And in a time when public faith in institutions is already hanging by a thread, even the appearance of impropriety can cause long-lasting damage. So let's break this down. The Federal Housing Finance Agency, FHFA, the federal watchdog that oversees the U.S. mortgage industry, has reportedly referred Letitia James for possible criminal prosecution. The accusation? That she intentionally misrepresented her residency and property details on multiple mortgage applications. Specifically, James allegedly claimed a home in Norfolk, Virginia, as her primary residence to secure favorable mortgage terms. But here's the problem. She was and still is New York's Attorney General, holding press conferences and performing all her duties in New York City. Claiming you live in another state to get a better mortgage deal, when all your professional and personal presence is rooted elsewhere, is a serious misrepresentation. This echoes the very accusation she leveled against Trump, manipulating property data to secure better financing. But there's more. James allegedly claimed that a 5-unit property she owns in Brooklyn was a 4-unit building. Why does that matter? Because properties with up to 4 units qualify for residential mortgages, which come with lower interest rates and easier approval. Once you hit 5 or more units, the property is considered commercial, triggering a much stricter and costlier lending process. Misstating the number of units is essentially mortgage fraud 101. Again, the kind of financial trickery she spent years prosecuting. If the allegations hold, James could shift from prosecutor to defendant. And that's the real wake-up call. Double standards in justice are corrosive. If the enforcers of the law are allowed to break it, even minor violations can erode the public's belief in fairness and accountability. The controversy doesn't stop there. According to forensic investigator Sam Anner, the Virginia property, purchased for about $137,000, 000 with a $19,000 mortgage, appeared on mortgage paperwork as a second home, but James allegedly listed it as an investment property on her New York State financial disclosures. These are two very different classifications, each carrying its own loan terms, tax implications, and legal responsibilities. Further muddying the waters, James reportedly claimed her father as her spouse on mortgage documents, a baffling and suspicious detail that raises even more red flags. Things only became more confusing in 2023 when 2 new mortgages totaling between $250, 000 and $400, 000 appeared on her disclosures. Yet, according to investigators, there's no public record of those loans, no title history, and no trace in official filings. Meanwhile, the original 2020 mortgage seems to have mysteriously disappeared from earlier reports. These discrepancies have fueled a storm of speculation and criticism, amplified by James' high-profile reputation. After all, this is the same woman who built her brand on holding Trump accountable for financial misrepresentations. The timing hasn't helped either. Even as the allegations swirled, James launched a high-dollar fundraiser for her 2026 re-election campaign, with ticket prices reportedly hitting $18, 000 per person, a move many saw as tone-deaf or defiant amid the growing scrutiny. James has denied all allegations, calling them politically motivated retaliation from Trump and his allies. In interviews, she has stood firm, dismissing the claims as baseless and vowing to respond through proper legal channels rather than engaging in a public back and forth. However, critics note that while her rhetoric has been forceful, she has not provided clear documentation to refute the detailed claims. Her continued refusal to directly address the questions surrounding her Brooklyn property has only deepened public skepticism. Beyond the personal and legal dimensions, this scandal touches on something larger and more troubling: the way politics and prosecution have become dangerously intertwined. When the justice system starts to look like a weapon in political warfare, or when its top officials seem immune to the very rules they impose, trust in democracy itself starts to erode. Whether James is ultimately guilty or not, the optics are damaging. For someone who made her name championing accountability, she now faces a painful test. Can she live up to the same standard she has long demanded of others? The central question remains: is this a politically motivated hit job or a case of hypocrisy finally catching up? Either way, the outcome will carry serious consequences, not just for Letitia James, but for public faith and the integrity of the legal system itself. Would you like me to draft a short summary or bullet point timeline to go with this?